have restrooms out the door and down the hallway, and that we are also using amplification for those who are participating on the webinar. Okay, so we have microphones in a couple places so that the sound will be picked up. Okay, and then I guess we can begin in a minute.
Set to go? Okay. Good morning, everyone. My name is Glenn Morrell. I'm the Regional Planning and Program Manager for the New York State Department of Transportation's Region 10 office here in beautiful Hauppauge. I'm also the Secretary to the Nassau-Suffolk Transportation Coordinating Committee, or TCC. I'll now call roll call by agency for today's Executive Committee meeting. Principal voting members present should state their names. And just so you know, I do have all the required signed proxy letters from the principals. First, the voting members. Nassau County.
Present.
And your name?
Sean Sally, Nassau County Department of Public Works, Deputy Commissioner.
Okay. Suffolk County.
Present.
Name?
Darnell Tyson, Acting Commissioner, Suffolk County DPW.
Okay. Metropolitan Transportation Authority.
Judith Walker, Capital Program Funding, Grants Management.
And New York State DOT, that would be myself, Glenn Morrell. Now the advisory members, Port Authority of New York and New Jersey. Anybody present? And the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation. Federal Transit Administration. Federal Highway Administration, or the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency. Okay, there's no one here from those agencies. Under the current Nassau-Suffolk TCC operating procedures, we have a quorum for today's meeting. I will now turn the meeting over to Darnell Tyson, representing Nassau-Suffolk TCC Chair Steve Ballone.
Thanks, Glenn. Good morning. Again, I'd like to welcome you to this morning's meeting. As mentioned before, my name is Darnell Tyson. I'm the Acting Commissioner of the Suffolk County Department of Public Works. And I'm here today representing County Executive Steve Ballone, who is, as Glenn mentioned, I'm the Nassau-Suffolk TCC Chair. We are offering this meeting as a webinar in compliance with New York State Executive Order Number 3, which is public access to government decision-making. It is being offered as a webinar and will be archived and available through the NYMTC website at www.nymtc.org. Again, I would just like to say that I'm pleased to be here to represent the county executive. As you know, he is definitely a proponent of transportation, and it's important to the community, and so although he's not here in person, please know that he is definitely well represented and connected and interested in today's event. So we do have an ambitious agenda for today's meeting, so let's quickly proceed to the next agenda item. Today's presentation will be on a Nassau County initiative, the Nassau Hub Innovation District, which is bringing together transportation and use and land use and economic development into a transformative project for the area. I would like to introduce Sean Sally, Deputy Commissioner of the Nassau County Department of Public Works, who has joined us here to discuss this unique project. With that, turn it over to Sean.
Thank you, Darnell. And I'll just come up to the podium and give a brief presentation. Again, my name is Sean Sally. I'm the Deputy Commissioner for the Nassau County Department of Public Works. I'm here today to brief the group on the status of the Nassau Hub Development Initiative. That's very exciting. This site has been on many people's minds over the past, many decades. So there's some real new life into this site, into this project, and let me get into some of the highlights with you all. Okay, just to sort of set some context here. The Nassau Hub site is approximately 72 acres, smack in the middle of Nassau County. It's anchored by the Nassau Veterans Coliseum, NSTCC Live. It's accessed by the Meadowbrook Parkway, Hempstead Turnpike, many state arterial and county roads sort of intersect and provide access to the site. Adjacent to the property, as many of you know, is Hauppauge University, Nassau Community College, Museum Row, Mitchell Field County Park, and other hotel and office, Class A office space in and around the hub area. Most notably, and recently, the county carved out 5 acres from the property. You'll see that little notch right here, and that's an updated aerial, so we get to see the Memorial Sloan Kettering purchased 5 acres to build a world-class cancer treatment facility. That facility is up and running. It opened its doors this past spring, so that was sold to the to MSK. So the remainder of the property is currently under a land lease, a ground lease, with Brooklyn Sports and Entertainment and Onexum, and that sort of sets up the next phase of development. So as many of you heard, at the end of 2018, the county initiated a development plan agreement and engaged Brooklyn Sports and Entertainment and RXR. RXR has obviously a major presence on Long Island and in the New York metro region, but RXR also owns quite a bit of real estate in the area, and their headquarters is actually just to the south in this building. So they have a vested interest in the hub. They partnered with Brooklyn Sports Entertainment to put forth a development plan for the Nassau Hub that would provide an innovation tenant, entertainment uses, complementary entertainment uses, complementary retail, and really bring this site into the 21st century as a major economic generator for the county and the region. And so in December of 2018, the RXR Brooklyn Sports and Entertainment team came before the Nassau legislature to basically request the approval of a development plan agreement. And that development plan agreement would serve as sort of a framework and a precursor to developing basically what their master plan calls for, which is essentially 600,000 square feet of office, innovation tenant, life sciences, high quality, high paying jobs, about 200,000 square feet of complementary retail and entertainment destination type uses, 500 units of housing, and that 500 units is significant in that it's the town of Hempstead has the zoning control here, and when they updated or passed the new zoning ordinance for this property in 2011, they actually capped the residential development at 500 units. So at this time, RXR is not looking to exceed that residential capacity as to not generate the need for variance, et cetera. So 500 units of housing. RXR is talking about the typology of housing being geared towards millennials, next generation, seniors, empty nesters, so on and so forth, to sort of bring a healthy mix of sort of live, work, and play to the site. And that's just captured in this slide, again, sort of the conceptual development program. This is in conceptual form. If you go on the project website, which is nassauhub.com, you'll see all this information. But as I mentioned earlier, the development plan agreement sets up basically a framework for all this development to occur. So within the next year and a half now, so by the end of 2020, RXR must do a couple of things in order to be in compliance with this agreement. One is essentially receive site plan approval from the town of Hempstead. That's a two-step process in the town. It's a conceptual master plan approval, followed by site plan approval. Along with that comes the seeker environmental review. And RXR also is responsible for resolving and finalizing an $85 million structured parking grant from the governor of New York State through the Empire State Development Corporation. $85 million to essentially build one or more parking structures on the site. to allow for all of this development to occur. That $85 million has been included in the state budget, and RXR is responsible for assisting the county to go finalize that money through an agreement. Without parking structures on the site, there's really no capacity no ability to develop, because all of that surface parking is required and is actually mandated to be part of the Coliseum lease. Right, so the Coliseum needs currently all of the surface parking. So it's really essential that we move forward with that structured parking piece as a phase one. And I should mention, site plan approvals will also be for phase one, which is basically the parking structure and what we're calling the innovation tenant, or the anchor tenant, Northwell Health, who is in negotiations with RXR to basically put forth the Life Sciences Research Center at the north. The actually image is spun around, but at the southwest corner of the property, adjacent to the Memorial Sloan Kettering. So those are sort of the broad brush next steps as far as the land use and the economic development piece is concerned. On the transportation end, the county is working on a bus rapid transit analysis, hub transit study, to basically link the Coliseum site to the Long Island Railroad via the Hempstead Station and Intermodal Center and the main line, Long Island Railroad main line, whether that be Mineola or Westbury. That analysis is ongoing. We've had discussions with the railroad, with the developer to coordinate all this activity. We expect to perform some robust public outreach in the coming months, but this analysis is underway. This group is probably well aware. It's also been going on for quite some time, and I think that's having to do with the development site and what's occurred over the past decade and a half with the business stars as far as having a tenant and a development program put forth. So we're excited for all this activity. Again, the Nassau hub, real economic generator of the county. We're aware of all the emerging technologies and industries that are out there, so that this site really will complement everything that's going on now and hopefully in the future. So I'll wrap up with that, and thank you very much for your time. There are a couple of websites if you'd like to take a look at this in further detail. Thank you.
Thank you for that presentation. So are there any questions? I guess I ask first from the panel.
No.
No.
Okay. Pose to the audience. Are there any questions on Sean's presentation? Seeing no questions, Sean, again, we thank you for your time.
Thank you.
So with that, we'll now proceed to the next agenda item, which would be the development of the federal fiscal year 2020 to 2024 TIF. Mary?
Thank you, Darnell. My name is Mary Byrne. I'm the staff director for the Nassau Suffolk Transportation Coordinating Committee. I will give an overview of the development of the federal fiscal year 2020 to 2024 Transportation Improvement Program, or TIP. The NIMTEC public participation procedures require the TIP, Regional Transportation Plan, or RTP, and related transportation conformity determinations be publicly reviewed. The main public review period for the proposed federal fiscal 20 to 24 TIP was held from June 24th through July 23rd. Additionally, the public notice for this meeting issued on August 6th indicated that comments could be accepted on the TIP up to the time of this meeting. Let me tell you a bit about NIMTEC. We are a metropolitan planning organization for New York City, Long Island, and the lower Hudson Valley. In order to receive federal transportation and planning funds, federal regulations require that each urbanized area with a population of 50,000 or greater must have a planning process. In this region, implementing this transportation planning process is the responsibility of the New York Metropolitan Transportation Council. NIMTIC is a regional council of governments consisting of 9 voting and 7 advisory members. NMTC is an organization required by federal legislation which authorizes funding for transportation in this region. NMTC is an organization that is responsible for the mandated Metropolitan Transportation Planning process, and NMTC provides its region with a collaborative planning forum in which to address transportation-related issues from a regional perspective and to plan for and make decisions on the use of federal transportation funds. This is NMTC's Penn County planning area, which is home to more than 12 million people. This is approximately 65% of New York State's population and 4% of the population of the nation. Our planning area covers approximately 2,440 square miles. As you can see, this planning area is divided into sub-regional areas. This allows us to better respond to local needs. We are currently located within the Nassau-Suffolk area, and the Nassau-Suffolk TCC assists their members with transportation planning. The other areas are served by the Mid-Hudson South TCC and the New York City TCC. NMTC is a regional council comprised of 9 voting members and 7 advisory members. Voting members include the county executives of the 5 suburban counties of Westchester, Rockland, Putnam, and Nassau and Suffolk counties, the commissioner of the New York City Department of Transportation and the directors of its Department of City Planning, the commissioner of the New York State Department of Transportation and the chief executive officer of the Metropolitan Transportation Authority. Advisory members include the Chief Executive Officer of the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey Transit, and the North Jersey Transportation Planning Authority, and the regional or division directors of the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation, the Federal Highway Administration, the Federal Transit Administration, and the United States Environmental Protection Agency. This slide demonstrates the continuing, cooperative, and comprehensive planning process required for receipt of federal transportation funding. Our mandated planning products include a long-range transportation plan, which has a minimum of 20 years, a medium-range transportation improvement program, which has a minimum of 4 years, an annual unified planning work program, a congestion management process, since NMTC's planning area is designated as a transportation management area, or TMA. A transportation conformity determination contains a regional emissions analysis, since NMTC's planning area includes all or part of several air quality, non-attainment, or maintenance areas under the Clean Air Act Amendments of 1990. And a periodically updated public involvement plan. We are currently working in this portion of the planning process, the area shown in green. What is the role of the TIP in the planning process? The TIP is a multi-year, multimodal program of transportation improvement projects drawn from the Regional Transportation Plan. The TIP is a 5-year program organized by federal fiscal year, October 1st through September 30th. The TIP includes transit projects, roadway and bridge projects, pedestrian and bicycle projects, safety projects, and system and demand management projects. The TIP development cycle contains a new TIP developed every 2 to 3 years. Development cycles are coordinated with statewide TIP or STIP development schedules, and during each cycle, existing projects are updated, new projects are programmed, and new fiscal years are added. Our last TIP cycle occurred for the federal fiscal years 2017 to 2021. This slide illustrates the current versus proposed TIP. As you can see, we are in the 3rd year of the existing TIP. Our new TIP will begin in the 4th year of the current TIP, and it will replace that TIP. This will be the start of a new 5-year transportation program beginning October 1st, 2019, which is the start of federal fiscal 2020. This slide shows a listing of current federal funding programs. Each funding program has its own purpose and eligibility requirements. These programs are administered by FHWA and FTA. Some of the current funding programs include National Highway Performance Program funding, Congestion Mitigation Air Quality Program funding, Highway Safety Improvement Program funding, and 5337 State of Good Repair funding, among others. The planning targets for the proposed federal fiscal 2020 to 2024 TIP are set with the following assumptions. Federal funding authorizations via the FAST Act end on September 30th, 2020 at the conclusion of federal fiscal year 2020. Funding levels for federal fiscal years 2021 through 2024 are assumed at similar levels to the FAST Act authorizations, and New York State DOT uses these assumed funding levels to develop planning targets for each of its administrative regions. The federal fiscal year 2020 to 2024 TIP has been cooperatively built by NSTCC members within the federal funding targets supplied by the New York State DOT based on their suballocation within the state funding distributed to states nationally by formula from federal appropriations. The intent for this TIP update is to identify needs independently of fund sources and distribute targets accordingly. There are 3 New York State DOT regions related to the NSTCC planning area. We are located within Region 10. Region 10 includes Nassau and Suffolk counties. The other regions are Region 8 and Region 11. Region 8 covers 6 counties in Lower Hudson Valley. 3 of them are in NSTCC planning area. Region 11 covers the 5 boroughs of New York City, all of which are in NSTCC planning area. This slide shows proposed program funding in the federal fiscal 20 to 24 TIP for the NSTCC planning area, broken out by TCC. As you can see, NSTCC Transportation Improvement Program funding total is $21.6 billion. Long Island's proposed program funding is shown in orange at $4.25 billion. Dollar values are shown based on the year of expenditure. This slide shows the breakdown of proposed program funding in the federal fiscal 20 to 24 TIP by federal, state, and local dollars. As you can see, the federal portion is 53.72% of the total program. Again, dollar values are shown in the year of expenditure. This slide shows the breakdown of the proposed program funding in the federal fiscal 20 to 24 TIP by program year. Again, dollar values are shown in the year of expenditure. In addition to publishing the TIP for public review, NSTCC must make it available in an electronically accessible format. We have the project visualization link shown here for that purpose. The visualization is prepared using ArcGIS Online to help the users to find projects in their area quickly. This link can also be found on the NSTCC website. This slide shows a link to the TIP documentation on the NSTCC website. The full TIP listing for the planning area is contained in this document, including not only the Long Island portion, which we are here to recommend today, but also the Mid-Hudson South and New York City TCC portions as well. The Mid-Hudson South TCC and New York City TCC will be holding their executive committee meetings to recommend their portions of the TIP on Wednesday and Thursday of this week. slide identifies one of the requirements of the federal government and how NIMTEC complies with those requirements regarding Transportation Performance Management, or TPM. Requirements state that the TIP shall include a description of the anticipated effects of the TIP towards achieving performance targets. And NIMTEC has established and is using a performance-based approach to transportation decision-making to support national goals for transportation performance, and the anticipated effects of the TIP toward achieving statewide performance targets are described in the proposed federal fiscal 2020 to 2024 TIP. National performance goals include safety, infrastructure conditions, congestion reduction, system reliability, freight movement and economic vitality, environmental sustainability, and reduced project delays. Here we have a brief overview of the TIP development timeline. We held a 30-day public comment period for the TIP, which started on June 24th, 2019, and concluded at 4 p.m. on July 23rd, 2019. Today, August 20th, 2019, we are holding our executive meeting to recommend the Long Island project listings on the TIP. On August 27th, 2019, the Program, Finance, and Administration Committee meeting will recommend the full draft TIP for council adoption. And then on September 5th, the council meeting to adopt the TIP will be held. Finally, on October 1st, 2019, the federal fiscal 2020 to 2024 TIP will take effect. Anybody have any questions?
No questions? Thank you, Mary, for that presentation. So moving on, we'll move to the next agenda item, which will be highlights of the NIMTEC members, NSTCC members program. First item will be updates from Nassau County.
Bob Brickman from the Nassau County Department of Public Works will present on this item.
Good morning, Sean Tiffin and Bob Brickman, Nassau County Public Works Planning Division. Nassau County's 2024 program includes a little over $125 million for federal funding, and that just is really narrowed down to the core of what we do on the TIP, which is the SPP, CMAT, that includes federal formula and grants and other projects. Try to give context compared to prior TIPs. The main categories we have up there, our civil program is almost 40% of our TIP budget, and road resurfacing is a very important one, and our program is set to do roughly 15 to 20 lane miles a year of road resurfacing, with the accommodating pavement marking updates for the road resurfacing. Our bridge rehabilitation, we have a general rehab and picnic program. There are two major projects during the coming TIP, the replacement of the Cover Mill Bridge over the Long Island Railroad, and that is up in the Great Neck area of Great Neck Plaza and Great Neck Estates Villages, and the Glen Curtis Bridge over the Meadowbrook State Park. Two very big projects that Nassau County undertakes during this period. Traffic projects reflect about a third of that money, and the main effort there is signal expansion connections to and staff support for Nassau County Traffic Management Center, which is the heart of the traffic moving on the roads. What we're looking to do is add signalized intersections to the TMC. To help improve traffic flows on more roads throughout Nassau County, and with information provided to the TMC by being part of the system, drivers on Nassau roads will be able to receive real-time information on congestion and alternate options through what we're introducing in this TIP, and we'll be expanding the next one, is variable message stop throughout Nassau County to help drivers. There's also consideration being given to develop a traffic management app that if a very significant piece of our program. The last piece is transit, and that's about a quarter of our TIP funding, again, from the sources that I mentioned earlier. For nice bus, we're looking at the regular replacement of fleet buses. And the TIP funding combined with other federal, state, and county sources will help us purchase roughly 190 40-foot buses, of which 184 will replace aging vehicles and 6 will be made available for expansion services. The Nassau hub, which spoke about earlier, is the VRT system. We have money in the TIP for design and early stage construction. It's part of the federal funding we're trying to assemble, and this will help get us started. The goal is to provide service to the hub and have it up and running when the development is open and ready. We do the first connection to Hempstead and then a mainline connection to follow. To take advantage of the Long Island third track. So that's a quick summary of the rest of the county's program. If there are any questions. Thank you.
All right, Bob, thanks for that presentation. I guess we're going to move on now to Suffolk County's highlights, and I get to get that information. It was interesting, actually, listening to Bob's remarks. Kind of like Nassau and Suffolk are doing some similar things, certainly with regard to BRT and bus purchases. First and foremost, for Suffolk County, we are definitely progressing with preliminary engineering on the Nichols Road corridor. That project has been underway for some time now. It's sort of like a multi-consultant firm effort. We've been progressing with the engineering and the design of a BRT solution along the Nichols Road corridor with the intent of also including traffic signal priority, queue jumps, and bus shelters along the corridor, which would extend from Stony Brook on the north, connecting to Fort Jefferson Railroad line with the connection to the Ronkonkoma Station, and also the Ronkonkoma Hub development, which is underway as well. Also providing connections to Suffolk Community College, and then the Patchogue Rail line, or the rail station along the Montauk line on the south. And so PE has been underway for that. The study is still on schedule. We are expected to complete preliminary engineering and environmental analysis by the end of 2020. So the project is still with that in mind. We are currently progressing 30% completion plans for the roadway. Again, the prime corridor that we are placing improvements on is Nichols Road. So the 30% drawings are continuing to be progressed, and the analysis associated with that is continuing. We are completing synchro analysis, which would be the arterial, sort of an evaluation of that corridor. We plan to take that synchro analysis to feed it into AIMSUN, which would give us travel times for the proposed bus solution on our key corridor. And so in conjunction with that, there are a number of intersections that are in the town of Brookhaven, in which we are proposing to eliminate left turns because we have a median bus HOV lane that we're progressing. And so with that in mind, we've had a meeting with the town of Brookhaven to kind of discuss, introduce these issues, discuss them with them, with intent to, we've interfaced with the community twice, once in 2016 and then once last year. But we intend to come back to the community again to give them an update on the project and make sure that we hear the concerns regarding the plans for our target roadway. Separate from, so that component of the PE is progressing. But in conjunction with that, we also have work underway and planning for a bicycle pedestrian multi-use path. And so that work is underway as well. The county certainly, as a goal, we are looking to increase the modality options that we have. We want to make it so that, our residents, are able to travel by bus, if they're looking for a quick connection to the railroad. We also want to provide infrastructure for those that want to bike along the corridor, and really countywide. So the study that's underway is looking at, we have one for Nichols Road, but we're also looking at countywide how mobility on the bike, with the bike mode progresses. So more so on the transit side, we also have, coming out of the tip, we have programs improvements or programs, so in conjunction with Nichols Road and also Route 110, have purchases of buses that would be placed on the corridor. And as you know, for the ERT corridor, it's important to have specially branded buses. So in this next tip, and we have provisions for those bus purchases. And then also shelters along the corridor. This is just a rendering of what one of the shelters would look like along the County Road 19 portion of the Nichols Road corridor. So those purchases are programmed for us, again, in the 2021-24 timeframe. We're also looking to replace the ABL system, which is basically GPS for buses. We are looking at upgrading and replacing that on our bus system. We have approximately 150 buses which have an ABL system on them, but the system is already dated. The system as it was has been very helpful in allowing us to provide real-time passenger information for our customers so that they know when the bus is due. So we can have that, but looking forward over the next few years, we look to replace the ABL system that's on our buses. So that will be coming up as well. And finally, we look to purchase more hybrid electric transit buses to keep our fleet young and in a state of good repair. So they would be purchased probably somewhere in the order of 20 buses per year coming up over the next few years. And then back on the highway engineering side, DPW, we're not dealing with bus rapid transit, we're dealing with the existing, roadway network, which also includes our bridges. We have a number of bridges that we continue to certainly, renovate, preserve. It's very important to us to, continue to maintain our infrastructure network. So, for example, we prioritize our bridge needs through a ranking system. We actually use from the DOT, along with guidance from the FHWA with regard to sufficiency, in order to order our bridges, or rank our bridges, from worst condition to best, which allows us to prioritize the bridges that we need to replace. And so, in particular, here you see a couple of renderings of the Smith Point Bridge, which is one of the main bridges that we're looking to replace as part of the next tip. Also, there is the CR80, the Montauk Highway Bridge, over the railroad in Hampton Bays, and also the Post Lane over Clark Canal Bridge. Those bridges we're looking to upgrade and replace in this next tip. Over on the pedestrian side, we have a safety improvement project underway. Highway safety is, considered in all of our county programs, and we certainly include the pedestrian mode with the intent of reducing deaths and injuries and total accidents. So safety is certainly in the first, in the forefront of our mind. So with that in mind, we have an ongoing safety study program where intersections and roadway segments are reviewed in terms of accident history, and evaluate it for improvements that we might implement in order to as we move forward with intersection projects. So under PIN 076249, Suffolk County is looking at pedestrian safety. And then finally, pavement resurfacing and rehabilitation, sort of similar to Nassau County, that's an important need for us as well. Right now, end of review, the state DOT comprehensive pavement design manual to assess our roadways. This manual provides our designers with a single source compilation of guidance pertaining to pavement evaluations and conditions. This process that we undertake in a continuous fashion yields a method for us for improving the safety, quality, and serviceability of our roadways through economically feasible solutions. So to this end, we have programmed annual funding under a number of PINs for pavement preventative and corrective maintenance projects in the county. I think that's it for highlights for us. Any questions?
Again, my name is Glenn Morell, I'm the Regional Planning and Program Manager for Region 10, New York State DOT. First, I want to give you a little bit of an overview on our region and why we're still under a preservation first strategy with our capital program. We have over 4,000 miles of pavement to maintain, 1,200 traffic signals. We have 448 state-owned and inspected bridges. We also inspect the local bridges, as Darnell mentioned. There's 161 of those that DOT inspects. We have approximately 1,100 overhead sign structures in our region. We have 80,000 drainage structures and 530 miles of drainage pipe. So you can understand why we're still on a preservation first strategy in the region. As you can see, 35% of our program is pavement, which is our mill and fill or resurfacing projects, our crack sealing projects, and our concrete pavement repair projects. Our safety projects include our traffic signal and lighting requirements contracts, our sign requirements projects, replacing damaged or signs that don't have the proper reflectivity anymore, and our durable pavement markings project, which is on a 3-year cycle, and our safety improvement blocks. Our structures jobs are bridge replacement projects, bridge repair contracts, overhead sign structure contracts, bridge cleaning contracts, and bridge painting projects. Our drainage projects are stormwater drainage improvement projects and highway runoff mitigation projects. Mobility projects in our capital program, we have the next New York 347 reconstruction project, Gibbs Road to Hallett's Road, and we also have a New York 27 interchange construction at Barnes Road. And our other projects include our park and ride, bikeway, graffiti, removal, tree trimming contract, and our wear and wane contracts that pick up anything that come up along the way that are not in our capital program that we need to address. Our billion-dollar total programming includes $690 million of construction projects, 75 construction projects. Some of the highlights of our program, as I mentioned, is in 005423, the next 347 project. We also have PIN 001767, which is a Robert Moses Causeway Bridge rehabilitation over Fire Island Inlet. We have pin 02948, which is at I-495 Crooked Hill Road interchange reconstruction. And we have OT 2200, which is a LIE pavement rehabilitation between exit 48 and exit 55. And then the project I mentioned previously, the New York 27 at Barnes Road interchange construction project. We also have two large Southern State Parkway resurfacing projects, which are in Nassau County, that are in our current capital program. So that's the highlights of our capital program. Thank you.
Thanks, Glenn. Would you like to ask, we have Judy Walker here from the MTA?
Good morning. At the moment, MTA is in the midst of organizational changes, but we are also currently developing the 2024 program, and once that's finalized, that's essentially it. I don't have more, but thank you.
All right, I understand that there are no questions from the audience. So with that, we'll proceed to the next agenda item. So moving on to the next agenda item. The resolution and previous meeting synopses that we're about to act on are all available at the sign-in table, and they were posted on NSTCC's website, which is www.nstic.org on August 6th. These items are also available for members in your meeting packages. First item will be the synopsis of the last executive committee meeting that took place on July 26, 2016. Do we have a motion to accept the meeting synopsis?
Yes.
Okay, so Glenn, do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, second that. Any discussion on the meeting synopsis? If there's no discussion, is all in favor of accepting the meeting synopsis? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes. Moving on to the next item, that would be Resolution NS-2019-1, which recommends the proposed project listings for Nassau and Suffolk County to propose NSTC Council for inclusion in the 2020-2024 staff. I will ask Manisha of NSTC Nassau Suffolk CCC staff to introduce the resolution.
Thank you, Donna. Good morning, everyone. My name is Manisha. I'm a transportation analyst for the Nassau Suffolk PCC. I'm here today on behalf of the Nassau Suffolk PCC to introduce resolution number NS-2019-1 to the Executive Committee. The purpose of this resolution is to recommend the Long Island portion of the new tax project listing for inclusion in the better fiscal year 2020 to 2024 transportation improvement program. This project listing for Nassau and Suffolk counties has been developed in accordance with the federal planning regulations with the cooperation of the state, regional, and local officials, as well as public transit operators. and with the active participation of the general public. This project listing for Nassau and Suffolk counties has been publicly reviewed through a 30-day comment period for the proposed federal fiscal year 2020 to 2024 and related public review meetings held at the Duryea State Office Building in Hauppauge. We request that you recommend the Long Island portion of the new tech project listing for inclusion in the federal fiscal year 2020 to 2024 transportation improvement program. Thank you.
Thanks, Ganesh. I would like to make a motion to accept the resolution. So, we have this up the county, if that's okay. Do we have a second?
Sure, second.
Second. All in favor of accepting the resolution?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, the motion passes. With that, we'd like to turn to our final action item, which will be the selection of a new chair for the Nassau Suffolk TCC. Per the joint TCC operating procedures, I've been informed that the TCC members have unanimously selected Nassau County Executive Laura Curran as the next TCC chair. I would ask that Nassau County's representative come and say a few words on our behalf. First.
Thank you, Darnell. Speaking on behalf of County Executive Laura Curran, Nassau County is extremely excited to be the next TCC chair. The county executive is dedicated to transportation, synergies with land use and economic development, and the efficient use of federal, state, and local funds. So she's a huge proponent of the transportation planning process. So, on behalf of the county executive, Nassau County is very excited to be the next chair. Thank you.
Thanks for that, Sean. So, actually, sounds like the Nassau County's executive first duty will be to convene the next TCC executive meeting. And then staff will arrange the details of that meeting, and the public will then duly be notified. We're proceeding to our next agenda item. That will be any new business. I would ask, do any of the committee members have any other new business to discuss?
No.
I guess our formal agenda for today's meeting is concluded. Do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Yes.
All right, do we have a second?
Yeah.
Judy? All right, any discussion on this? Now, all those in favor of adjourning, please say aye.
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 Any opposed, any abstentions? The motion passes. Thank you.
My name is Ronnie.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.